The last 12 months have been the longest and most horrendous months of our lives. 12 months on, we have the same 4 options as we did then. Suicide, Leah ran away, someone Leah knows took her, someone Leah didn't know took her.
Leah Croucher left her home on foot on the 15th of February 2019 and began her usual 30 to 40 minute journey to work. Leah was captured on nearby CCTV at 8:15am. At 8:34am, her mobile phone was switched off and Leah was never heard from again. The ensuing investigation would leave police baffled, Leah's family broken, and many questions unanswered. Why had Leah lied to her parents about where she was going on the night before her disappearance? Why had Leah also disabled location settings on her phone at that time? Where did Leah go during that evening, and who did she meet with, if anyone? Why had the usually shy, home-loving teen become secretive and short-tempered in the months before her disappearance? Had Leah's alleged relationship with a colleague truly ended months earlier, as she claimed? This is the story of the disappearance of Leah Croucher. Born in 1999, 19-year-old Leah lived in Milton Keynes, England, with her parents John and Claire. Milton Keynes, known locally as MK, is located in Buckinghamshire in the south of England, approximately 50 miles outside of London. Leah had a protective older brother, Hayden, and an older sister, Jade, with whom she was very close. Though quiet, Leah is described by family as bright, confident, and loving. She was a real home bird and preferred to stay at home reading young adult fiction or binge watching movies and TV shows. She was also an avid social media user and particularly enjoyed the photo messaging app Snapchat. It's a tradition in the UK where the legal minimum drinking age is 18 for youngsters to go out on their first pub crawl on their 18th birthday. Leah was such a homebody that her parents had to talk her into going out and honouring that tradition by buying her first legal pint. She had practiced taekwondo along with her dad and brother since childhood and had even competed internationally. Leah worked as an office assistant at a local finance company and had been saving to move out of her family home and into her first place with a close friend. She had also recently helped her family pick out a destination for an upcoming holiday abroad and was reportedly really looking forward to the trip. Leah was just starting out in life and she seemed to have so much to look forward to. At 5pm on Thursday 14th February 2019, the day before her disappearance, Leah finished work and began her usual walk home. At some point during the journey, and for an unknown reason, Leah disabled location settings on her phone, something it would later turn out she had never done before. After arriving home at her usual time of around 5:45pm, Leah got changed into a pair of jogging bottoms and a long sleeve top and told her parents that she was going out to meet with a friend. Leah returned home at 7:15pm and would go on to spend a typical weekday evening at home. At around 10pm, Leah said goodnight to her parents and went to bed. The Crouchers would later report that Leah seemed perfectly normal and that she hadn't given them any reason to be concerned. This is the last time that Claire and John Croucher would see their daughter. It would later emerge that Leah hadn't been to meet a friend that evening. And exactly what Leah did do during that approximately 75-minute window between 6pm and 7:15pm on the evening of the 14th, with her phone's location services intentionally switched off, remains a mystery. Leah awoke on the morning of the 15th at around 7:30am. Her parents had already left for work and she was home alone. Leah prepared for work as normal and left her family home in Quantock Crescent at around 8am. She was wearing a black coat, black skinny jeans, black Converse high-top shoes and a grey Stuart Beat Taekwondo hoodie. She was carrying a Samsung phone and a black rucksack. Leah was captured on CCTV twice, once at 8:07am in Lee Hill, close to her home, and then again on Buzzardcott Lane in Thurston at 8:15am. Leah was walking in the direction of Locksbeer Drive and Saffron Way. This is the last confirmed sighting of Leah. At around 8:20 am, a woman believed to be Leah is seen in Thurston near an area known as Teletubby Hill, though this sighting isn't confirmed. On the advice of her mother, Leah would occasionally vary her route to work for safety reasons. Though it is known that in the days prior to her disappearance, Leah had taken the same route to work each day, walking from Thurston into Shenley Lodge and up Faraday Drive en route to her place of work on Davy Avenue in Knoll Hill. At 8:34 am, Leah's phone is switched off. Leah didn't arrive at work for 9 am, and she didn't arrive home at her usual time in the late afternoon either. Sometime after 5 pm, Leah's employer called her parents to inform them that Leah hadn't arrived at work and that she hadn't called in sick. After multiple failed attempts to call Leah, the Crouchers checked her bedroom. Leah's bed had been made and her curtains opened. Nothing seemed amiss, and it appeared that Leah had gone about her usual morning routine. Claire Croucher called the police to report her daughter missing, and John Croucher immediately started searching for her. Within days, Leah's face was all over Milton Keynes, printed on missing posters and featuring on local news. From this, 3 different witnesses came forward to report having seen a person matching Leah's description walking by Thurston Lake between 9:30 am and 11:15 am. The first witness claimed to have seen Leah between 9:30 and 10 am walking along a wooden boardwalk on the eastern side of Thurston Lake. The witness reported the woman was typing with both thumbs on her phone and seemed distracted. The second and third witnesses, who were walking in the area together, claimed to have seen Leah between 10 am and 10:15 am near a local sports pavilion. The pair reported that the woman appeared visibly angry, crying and upset. They also claimed to have seen Leah again around 20 minutes later near a Premier Inn. They noted that at this time she appeared calmer and seemed to be speaking with someone on the phone. Neither of these potential sightings has ever been confirmed to be Leah. Thames Valley Police launched Operation Dawlish, and CCTV footage from the morning of the 15th was released. After speaking with Leah's family, friends, colleagues and acquaintances, police discovered that Leah had not been to meet a friend on the evening before her vanishing, as she had told her parents. Leah's friends also reported that she'd been experiencing anxiety in the days and weeks before her disappearance, though the cause of her anxiety, if it is known, has not been revealed. Leah's internet history showed no searches related to suicide or running away, and her phone record revealed nothing of note. Specialist search teams were deployed alongside mounted police, a canine unit and a helicopter from the National Police Air Service. A dive team scoured Thurston Lake as well as Teardrops Lake, a small body of water close to where Leah worked. No trace of Leah was found during any of these searches. An appeal for information was made at the stadium of local football club Milton Keynes Dons, and a massive social media campaign was launched. 2 generous anonymous locals donated £5,000 each to create an award fund for information leading to Leah's discovery. The same month, an aspect of Leah's life that had previously gone unmentioned was brought to the fore. Leah's older brother Hayden was brought before a court accused of threatening a man that Leah is previously believed to have been in a relationship with. The man, who I won't be naming in this video, and who police would later refer to as Mr. X, is believed to have been Leah's work colleague. It's also believed that Mr. X is 9 years older than Leah, and is also rumoured to have been engaged to another person while in an alleged relationship with her. Police would publicly reveal that, having spoken with Mr. X, he was not a person of interest in the case. Mr. X denied ever being in a relationship with Leah and claimed that the pair were just colleagues and friends. Hayden was issued with a restraining order and instructed not to contact Mr. X again. Handing down the penalty, Judge Sheridan Francis said to Hayden, "This is a real tragedy. You and your family are entitled to and deserve our utter sympathy." 7 months after her vanishing, and with no breakthroughs in the investigation, Leah's case was featured on the BBC's Crime Watch programme. From this appeal, a witness came forward claiming to have seen what they described as a grey hoodie floating in the Blue Lagoon, a lake in Milton Keynes, in February of 2019. A 10-day search of the lake produced no evidence. Further tragedy would strike the Croucher family in November of 2019 when Hayden Croucher, overcome with the grief of his sister's vanishing, took his own life. He was 24 years old. A year after the disappearance of his daughter in February 2020, and with his frustrations growing at the total lack of developments in her case, John Croucher gave an explosive press conference. In it, he claimed that, quote, "someone knows something and is hiding it," and, quote, "I will name him. If the police don't like that, tough. I will name him publicly if he doesn't come forward soon with the information that the police need." The man that John Croucher was referring to was Mr. X. Up until this point, the Crouchers had agreed at the request of the police not to mention the man. Their patience clearly spent, the family revealed for the first time several new details about Leah's alleged relationship with Mr. X. Claire Croucher would disclose that her daughter had begun dating the man in the summer of 2018. Leah would speak fondly of him to family and would go and see him in the evenings. It was clear that she was falling for Mr. X. After discovering that the man was engaged, the Crouchers advised their daughter to break off the relationship. Leah assured her parents that she had. However, following her disappearance, the Crouchers came to believe that their daughter may have been lying to them. Claire Croucher said, quote, "Her behaviour changed ever so slightly. I didn't really take much notice at the time, but now, having had months to think about it, I realised that she'd become a bit more moody, which was totally out of character." Claire also revealed that on February 3rd, 2019, 12 days before her vanishing, Leah announced that she had booked a hotel and was having a girls' night with 2 female friends. Though this was unusual for Leah, her parents didn't think anything of it and were happy that their daughter was getting out. John Croucher actually drove Leah to the hotel, a Jury's Inn in central Milton Keynes. It was months later, with the arrival of Leah's first bank statement since her vanishing, that the Crouchers were able to see that their daughter had lied to them. The statement showed that Leah had actually booked a much cheaper hotel nearby, a travel lodge. By the time this lie had been discovered, CCTV footage from the travel lodge had been wiped. Claire Croucher said, quote, "Mr. X is the only anomaly that was in Leah's life, the only thing she lied about. We feel information he may have is our only chance of finding her. We kept quiet because the police strongly advised us it was the right thing to do. They asked us to trust them. We have to finally and publicly admit we think they are wrong." Police reiterated that there is no evidence linking Mr. X with Leah's vanishing, and very little is confirmed about the pair's relationship. The reward for information in Leah's case was doubled to £20,000 in March 2021. Family and friends raised thousands of pounds for the charity Missing People, who have supported the Crouchers throughout their search for Leah. Charity skydives, taekwondo tournaments and mountain climbs were held. Signs were printed on the sides of lorries. Local supermarkets featured Leah's missing posters in their stores. Despite all of this, the second year of Leah's vanishing would pass with no new leads in her case, the pandemic of 2020 undoubtedly hindering attempts to find her. In February 2021, to mark the 2-year anniversary of Leah's disappearance, Thames Valley Police renewed their appeal for information. From this, they revealed 20 reports had been made to police by members of the public. Most significant among these was the reported sighting of a young woman dressed in black near Teardrops Lake on the morning of Leah's disappearance. Though police cannot confirm this sighting, they strongly believe that this was Leah. It wasn't until very recently, in September of 2021, that a potentially significant sighting was reported. A woman disclosed to a local newspaper, the MK Citizen, that between 8:35am and 8:40am on the 15th of February 2019, she was sat in traffic at a junction. Her attention was drawn to a shiny black car nearby, that she described as, quote, possibly a coupe model. The witness was travelling along the H7 Saffron Way towards central Milton Keynes. The black saloon was pulling out at a junction onto the H7 on the road leading at a right angle directly from the lake. The driver of the car was described as, quote, maybe 30 to 40 years old, with darkish brown, medium-length hair. The woman noticed that there was a pair of feet up on the dashboard on the passenger side, but that the rest of the person's body was out of sight. The only thing the woman could see was the person's shoes, which she described as, quote, all I remember is that they had dark soles. They definitely weren't trainers. They could have been boots. They were not adult male shoes because they were too small. They looked to be the size a teenager or a female would wear. End quote. The woman was shocked when the man suddenly let go of the steering wheel and with both hands twisted himself around and forcefully pushed his passenger. The woman said, quote, it was like he was trying to hide someone. I remember being concerned enough that I tried to get the number plate, but I was at the wrong angle to see it. I hoped the cars in front of me would move forward enough so I could allow the driver to pull out in front of me and I'd get a better view. At one point I even contemplated getting out of my car, running down the road and asking him what on earth he was doing. End quote. The woman also said, quote, I lost sight of him, but it continued to prey on my mind. Was it a father disciplining a naughty child, perhaps, for putting their feet on the dashboard? It looked too aggressive for that. Or was it something more sinister? The woman claimed to have contacted the police on 3 separate occasions, the first days after Leah's disappearance, then again weeks later, and again weeks after that. Police responded to this by stating that the woman had come forward 5 weeks after Leah's vanishing, and that they had spoken to her. They claimed that what the woman had reported to the MK Citizen wasn't exactly what she had told them years earlier. The validity of the woman's claims, or precisely what she told the police, is not known, and sadly, nothing has so far been garnered from this alleged sighting. The final development in Leah's case was uncovered whilst I was writing the first draft of this video's script. Just weeks ago, in October 2021, an online sleuther was researching Leah's case when they took to Google Maps to check out a presumed police search location in an area called Eaton Bray, 18 miles away from Milton Keynes. The location was a large house with a derelict barn on the property. The sleuther switched to Street View and began inspecting the Google images of the property and the surrounding land. The sleuther reported feeling a chill up their spine when they zoomed in on an image of the old barn and saw what they believed to be the blurry outline of a young woman wrapped in a red blanket. After inspecting the photo, the sleuther claimed to be able to see similarities with Leah's hairline and face shape. The sleuther then checked the dates on the images and found that they'd been taken just a month after Leah's vanishing. The sleuther reported their findings to the police as well as MK Citizen, who were able to find additional information about the property. MK Citizen spoke with an Eaton Bray local who claimed that the house and surrounding land had been the site of extensive police searches back in 2019 in relation to Leah Croucher's disappearance. The police activity in the area had been a source of much local gossip, though from my research I'm unable to confirm whether these searches even took place, and if they did, I'm unable to confirm if they were in relation to Leah's case. The MK Citizen also tracked down the home's former owner and confirmed that the property had been empty and up for sale at the time the Google images were taken. Interestingly, though perhaps not entirely relevant, the home's former owner claimed that she was forced out of the property as she, quote, feared for her life as there was a vendetta against her, allegedly from a gang involved in drugs and sex trafficking. Nothing more specific than this is known about the woman's alleged reasons for fleeing the home, and I am unable to confirm their validity. The former owner claims to have left her keys to the property with an acquaintance who she had asked to care for her 3 dogs. Disturbingly, the 3 dogs were found starved to death in the house in June 2019. The property was eventually sold, and the current owners are in no way linked to Leah's case. Thames Valley Police confirmed receipt of the Google images, and their investigations team was following up on the lead. Though we can't rule out there being a person in this image, we should also bear in mind the phenomenon of pareidolia, which is defined as the tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern. Our brains seek the familiar in randomness. As we approach the 3-year anniversary of Leah's disappearance, there are no significant leads in her case. There has been no contact from her, no confirmed sightings, no financial activity on her bank account, no phone or social media activity, no arrests have been made, no one has been formally interviewed under caution by police, and none of Leah's belongings have emerged. Theory number 1 in the case is that Leah may have run away, perhaps due to the breakdown in her alleged relationship with Mr. X, or for some other reason known only to her. It is suspected, and has been claimed by friends, that Leah was experiencing anxiety at the time of her disappearance. The source of this anxiety is not public knowledge, but it can certainly be speculated that it was linked to the difficulties in her alleged relationship with Mr. X. Could this, or some other unknown issue, have driven Leah to feel that she simply had to get away? There are several issues with this theory. First, Leah took nothing with her beyond what she needed for work that day. She didn't pack any extra clothing, she left behind her passport, and her internet and banking records do not show any sign that she was planning to run away. No travel bookings, no related internet searches, and Leah couldn't drive. Second, Leah's bank, phone and social media records show no activity since her phone was switched off at 8:34 AM on the day she went missing. Unless Leah had saved a secret stash of physical cash, she would not have had the means to provide for herself for the last 3 years or to get away from Milton Keynes. Of course, none of this would have been necessary if there was a person who perhaps helped Leah to run away. Theory number 2, suicide. Sadly, it cannot be ruled out that the anxiety that Leah was believed to be experiencing, or the anguish caused by her alleged breakup with Mr. X, didn't drive Leah to simply take her own life. However, Leah didn't leave a note, and she genuinely seemed to have left the house that day with every intention of going to work. Could the CCTV footage, believed to show Leah heading to work, actually show her heading to the place that she intended to take her own life? Could Leah have had a second phone that she used to speak with Mr. X or someone else? Did she receive a call that morning that pushed her over the edge? Could this account for the witness reports of an emotionally distressed woman matching Leah's description sighted using her phone near Thurston Lake? The chances of Leah's body having not been discovered after all this time and after extensive searches seem slim. Theory number 3, Mr. X. It's hard to disagree with Leah Croucher when she says, quote, Mr. X is the only anomaly that was in Leah's life, the only thing she lied about. Of course, parents can't know everything about their children, particularly their adult children. Though the Crouchers believed that Leah was only secretive about Mr. X, there is always the chance that Leah was keeping other things from her parents, as is typical for most teenagers and young adults. However, Mr. X is known to exist, and though he denies having a romantic relationship with Leah, she and her family seem certain that there was a relationship. There is speculation online that Mr. X may have been in an arranged relationship and was engaged to marry a woman of his parents' choosing. This speculation is not confirmed. However, hypothetically, if this was the case, then there is a chance that Mr. X was in a relationship that, culturally, he had no simple way out of. Could Leah have been the person that he actually wanted to be with, but he knew that that wasn't possible? Was he worried that someone might find out about Leah? Or had someone perhaps already found out about her and warned him to get out of the relationship? Could Leah have told Mr. X that she was pregnant, either because she was pregnant or in a desperate attempt to get him to stay with her? Was it Mr. X that she met with on the night before her disappearance? Is this when she told him that she was pregnant? Or did Leah perhaps give Mr. X an ultimatum, stay with her and break it off with his fiancée? Or she would reveal their relationship? Are Leah's whereabouts in the evening before her disappearance simply a red herring? Did Mr. X panic? Did this panic cause him to harm Leah? Could Mr. X have had someone else harm Leah? Mr. X denies any involvement in Leah's vanishing and also denies having any romantic relationship with her. Could Leah have actually been mistaken in her belief that she was in a relationship with Mr. X, but had simply become besotted with him? If so, then who was she secretly meeting up with at a hotel? Publicly, police claim that Mr. X is not a person of interest, and it is believed that he has an alibi for the time of Leah's disappearance. It's not known to what extent Mr. X was investigated, what questions he was asked, or what searches he was asked to submit himself to. It's important to stress that Mr. X remains innocent until proven otherwise. Theory number 4. Someone else Leah knew abducted and/or murdered her. Leah's family, friends and colleagues were all questioned and all were forthcoming with information. It is not believed that police suspect the involvement of anyone that Leah knew in her disappearance. However, this can of course not be ruled out. What is not known is if Leah had any relationships that her known friends and family simply didn't know about. Could Leah have had more than one romantic relationship? Could a second or new lover have harmed Leah? There is nothing in Leah's phone or computer data to suggest that she was in a relationship with a person unknown to her family, though Leah may have contacted the person using a second phone, perhaps a phone that this hypothetical person provided her. Could this be the person that Leah met at the hotel days before her disappearance? Could this be the person she met the night before she vanished? Leah was known to use the photo messaging app Snapchat daily. A function of Snapchat is that it deletes messages once all parties have read them, and it deletes unread messages within 30 days of being sent. Could Leah have communicated exclusively through Snapchat with this hypothetical unknown person? Theory number 5. A random attack by an opportunistic abductor or killer. Was Leah simply in the wrong place at the wrong time while on her journey to work on the morning of the 15th? Did she cross paths with a man intent on abducting and/or murdering a young woman that day? Could she have been set upon suddenly and bundled into a vehicle? Could this account for the strange sighting of the shiny black car? Could she have been threatened with a weapon and lured away? Leah disappeared near a busy area during rush hour. Could no one really have seen anything? Exactly what path did Leah take to work after potentially being sighted near Teletubby Hill at 8:20 am? Where exactly did she go between 8:20 and 8:34 am? What caused her phone to be so abruptly switched off? Was she murdered by this random attacker within hours? Or was she perhaps kept prisoner for a period of time? Or disturbingly, could Leah still be alive and living at the mercy of her abductor, perhaps being trafficked? Could she have been kept on the property at Eaton Bray? With so little information or evidence, Chief Inspector Andy Howard of Thames Valley Police said, quote, "Mystery really is the word. It is bewildering and frustrating. For the Crouchers, the last 3 years have been hell. They've suffered immeasurable tragedy and deserve answers in their daughter's case." Speaking at a police press conference 2 years after Leah's vanishing, Leah Croucher said, "To say they've been a hard 2 years is an understatement. They've been the longest and toughest 2 years of our lives. But as long as there is hope that Leah is still alive, we will be positive and hope." Leah Croucher was 19 years old when she vanished on the 15th of February 2019 at around 8:34 am in the vicinity of Thurston Lake, Milton Keynes. She is described as a white female of slim build with shoulder-length brown hair, standing at 5 feet 2 inches tall. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a black coat, black skinny jeans, black Converse high tops and a grey Stuart B Taekwondo hoodie. She was carrying a Samsung phone and a black rucksack. The grey hoodie is particularly significant as it is a limited print and relates to a specific local Taekwondo club. Leah sometimes wore glasses. Today, she would be 22 years old. If you have any information in relation to Leah's case, please consider contacting police by calling 101 and asking to speak to Thames Valley Police, or calling Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.